Hello and welcome. Name's Derek, and I sell physical media on eBay. I make videos about what I buy, sourcing videos about what I sell, what sold videos. Every once in a while, a video like this. Kind of coincidental, I'm doing it on my 1 year YouTube anniversary. Rocket. Alright, so yeah, that's what this video is more over of, I wouldn't say a year in review of my top. You know what? I did make a compilation video of all my big sales. No, I didn't. If you want to see them, $100 single sale playlist. There you go. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm not going to invest anything. But this video is for all the people who have watched any of my videos for 1 second or all of the possible minutes you possibly could. You know, anything in between. When I start, and I haven't really said it before, I have a couple times that I started YouTube as more of a what's going to be an income tax burden offset. So whatever YouTube would be able to bring by monetization or by merch or by sponsors or whichever it may be, rocket. Then that type of, and I know it's a long run, a long haul type thing. I have, as of not including this video, 430 videos on YouTube, varying in a couple minutes to, I think 54 minutes is the most recent long one. But that one is a longer explanation on how I use the eBay app. To behind here are boxes of books to sell all 100,000 a year physical media. I don't make specific, sometimes, but the entire crux of my channel is not based on specific themes, specific topics of, I didn't use promoted for a month and this is the result. Here are the new eBay policies. Let me explain them. I don't do videos like that. I made a comment to someone who commented on today's What Sold video that the primary of what I want this channel to grow and be, and this explanation will likely differ in a year, but what I really want the channel, the main focus of the channel is just being honest. I'm not trying to contrive something that isn't replicatable, isn't verifiable, isn't, I can't be corroborated. Just the opposite. These are the simple things that I do that over a long career I've acquired a certain special set of skills. Bad example. Cat's interrupted. And those skills are just in being able to watch other people. YouTube's great for that. I don't use any of the other social media forms. I mean, Facebook for just, I have 100 friends on there, right? I don't follow, just kind of see the things that are coming and going on there. I don't use TikTok. I don't use Instagram. I don't use Pinterest or Vine. I saw Vine's coming out with an extended Vine or something. I mean, I don't use any of those. I want the channel to be organic. And this is, if you're kind of in the Northeast central to going more east side of the United States, you're going to be familiar with Giant Eagle. This is their ginger beer. My wife got some. They're like either $3 or $1.50 for a 4-pack. I quit drinking years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Where was I going? To be honest about how I do things, and I don't make the videos for the intent for them to blow up or go viral. None really have. I mean, I think my highest, the video I have with the highest views is one from end of December, beginning of January with like 800 something views. It's nice to see some videos like all of a sudden blow up and now it's my top video, but that's still only a couple hundred views. I don't change my titles to be really, really catchy for a reason. If I did that, I would be going against the grain of being truthful and being honest. That if you, in some fields and some interests, yes, you're going to want to, let's just say, for example, I was just watching Reuniverse, and they have a little series, and it's all AI, and it looks better than the best video games. It's AI, but you look at it like that's almost freaking real. That's almost real. It's like I can grab your cheeks. That's how real it looks. And it's called Aplita, whatever. But it's their kind of extrapolation of what it would be for humans to travel through these vast distances, interstellar travel, and then find this planet of which they were chasing because of a signal, and go on there. But the first 3 or 4 videos of that series, they use that very, very specific thing and that very, very specific crux of what that video is about. That's a different story. What are my videos about? Buying physical media to sell on eBay and selling that physical media on eBay. Or reselling physical media on eBay, DVDs, CDs, music, movies, and books. I just put the movies and music in there because it fills up almost all 100 characters. But if I don't, every once in a while I'll change that up. But if I made catchy titles and if I made videos programmed, I'm not really programmed to, think of a bad metaphor here, philanthropy, I guess. We'll go with that one. I prefer to want to give people information that they can use based off of those set of skills. Of what I also learned from other sellers. I mean, I got into physical media, it'll be start of 5 years next year. And I was able to see, and where I'm at, it doesn't matter on, well, it does, but where I'm at, there's 30 thrift stores within 30, 40 minutes max. There's 45 plus thrift stores going upwards of an hour. If I go over an hour, there's 60, 70 thrift stores I can get to. There's 3 directions I can go. I can't go north to a thrift store. I'd be swimming in Lake Erie. With all those, what I was doing before was looking for other things to sell besides physical media. And it just wasn't. So I could go to all these stores and I could start looking for a lot of these other different smalls. And the quantity just wasn't there in order to be sustainable or scalable for what I wanted to sell. Granted, there's clothing, but something I did before, wouldn't want to do again. And then I started to really think about and watch physical media sellers. And that's where last year, a year ago, I decided to get my feet wet and just make a YouTube video like this. My first video. I've been selling for a long. Probably should have rewatched it for this part. These are some higher end sales of what it is. I by average do 60 to 80,000 a year. So at that point, I was still, full time. That was my only income, right? So this video isn't really about all of the things that I've learned. And I'm going to be quite frank. My brain works quite a bit differently. Some people call it spectrumed. I just pick up on patterns and senses, call it ingenuity, that if I know that these specific things are going to cost this much, and I can have 50 of these specific things that cost $50 combined, whatever. And I know those 50 things are going to take me a little over 2 hours max to get pictures of all those because it's 2 pictures. And then, since they're very, very absolute and specific, it's not going to take me a whole lot of time to really, really narrow it down because I know it's in 1989. For some reason, Prince came to mind. It's 1989 Prince Purple Rain CD. Well, I could just type in Prince Purple Rain. You're going to get a lot of results. You're going to narrow it down to 1989 or by the studio, whoever printed it. So there's that. The other fact that's more subsequent of getting into physical media is that the vast majority of physical media collectors, and this is where watching other media channels, not media reseller channels, but just other media channels that deal in physical media, that's where those come in handy. Because I would have never really thought that there was a massive collector's market for CDs, right? You think CDs, really? Yeah, well, CDs, I'll put up a screenshot of just a couple of higher end CDs within this year that I have sold. And if people who don't know media, such as myself 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, know of its value, and then there are an intrinsic value of actually physically having it, cut the cord from streaming, all that stuff. And then you have the tangible value, that's something you could touch, something that you could put into something and listen to. And I was replying to another comment about the sound quality of CDs and the speakers and the speaker systems. And so a long time ago, I used to build high-end crossovers. And one of the big things with that is the Linkwitz-Riley roll-off, an octave roll-off. And I'm not going to get into technicals about that, but on how true and accurate that roll-off is with the capacitors and the inductors that are in the inductors, coils, the ferrite things with, on how specific and accurate that roll-off is going to be with those components for each hertz and decibel range roll-off. You're going to be able to hear much, much more. And you can get that accomplished through a CD player as opposed to streaming. So I never really put that mind to it. I never thought, I was like, you know what? I could probably see if there was a bunch of $50, $100 CDs out there. Yeah, right. People are tossing out their CDs because they don't want it because they're junk, because they're streaming now. Was I wrong? And it's the amount of time that it takes to do that. So if I have these 50, going back to that, so if I have these 50 things that I spent a cumulative, I grabbed it from the shelf, I looked at it, I put it down there, maybe a couple hours in a store, maybe a couple hours doing this, and another hour putting it away. In between, let's just say I have an hour wrapped up in every 10 of them. And those 10 are going to vary from bread and butter, $15, and that could be $50. Or within the whole mix altogether, there's $2,000 of CDs I spent $50 on. Just everything that's just wrapped around in physical media is just, it's so much from a very experienced, decades experienced seller. That's why I made the shift. Cliche. No, I'm not going to use it. Good mom. But a lot of people shrug at it. It's like that. I think elephant in the room is going to be a bad example here, but it's kind of like the elephant in the room. Like, everybody knows it's there. Every store, every place you go to, for the most part, they're going to have books. They're going to have disc media. They're going to have things like that. They may not have like old vintage 1990s computer software or sealed the original release of Doom shareware. God, forget what I sold that one for. But I mean, it wasn't like super, super, it was like 50, $60. But for 50 cents I paid for it, yeah. The shipping's cheaper. And then you have to insure it. You can go somewhere else and insure it for, whatever you need to insure it for. The supplies, I'm getting way off on that. So I decided to make a YouTube channel to help extol, to really, really explain, to expound that of all my years of a long career and a certain set of skills, that I could give that information to people. There's a lot of media seller channels out there. Everybody does things different. I do things different. So there's, and I haven't watched it in quite some time, but Golden State, his name's not Kevin, Mark. Kevin is from Commonwealth. I used to watch him a bit too. I forget whatever. He's an older guy, California, Golden State picker. He has his, that's where I got the angle idea for my camera. It's just on how his is kind of up angled. Other ones that do daily what's sold, I'm sure there's plenty of them out there. But sticking with the media realm, even James at Boring Reseller Life, he probably does a couple videos a day. But we all do things different. And I think the reason on why a lot, especially the guy at Golden State and James, and there's a handful of others too that want to do the same thing, want to expound to people that, look, if you want to resell whatever you want. But if you want some good ROI, sells relatively fast, and you probably only have to handle it for 30 seconds after it sells. And after it's gone, 99.99% chance you're not going to have to deal with that buyer ever, well, for any returns or anything. It's such hassle-free. It's such stress-free. And literally, if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't even have 30 hours a week in media. Not even. I mean, I would go to stores, I'd be gone and coming back. I was doing that for probably 4 to 5 days a week in listing, and I would get up, get pictures of like 20, 25 things, put those 20, after I'd package, get those 20, 25 things up and done. So pictures, as soon as they're already uploaded, ported to the computer, get those 20, 25 things listed. It's not even noon. If something else sells, I could find that print, put it in the bin. I'm gone at noon, so I would start usually that stuff right around like 9:30. I'm gone a couple hours later, and depending where I go, I'm back a couple hours later. So I've got 4 to 6 hours invested in. If I'm going out sourcing that much, it will be 30 hours. But I was done for the most part, depending when I get started. The most part back at 1:30. There are some earlier videos I have to where like, oh, well, here's that what's sold video. And I come back with 1,000 things that I just sourced 3 hours later. It's just a real simple work. There's work involved, yeah. But like I said in today's what's sold video, I mean, I'm not breaking my back. I'm not sweating. I'm not fretting. And being that I really haven't sourced in 3 weeks, speaking of, the sales are coming, they're trickling a little, but they're still coming in enough to be that mark, that threshold, that minimum threshold where I need it to be. But the reason why I'm going over all that, of if you're not new here, you know that these are things you probably heard me say plenty of times before. And I will get back to the very opening statements, the predicate of this video. Is think of like that endorphin rush of a sale, right? As a seller. And it could be a bread and butter sale. When you just hear the sound, you're like, I don't know, is it a $10 sale? Is it a $2,000 sale? Don't know. Ginger beer. Ginger. So, But when you open up the phone and you realize that it's not a $10 sale or a 20 or 30, but it's not a 2,000, but it's a $70 sale, you get that endorphin. You're like, yeah, let's keep going. It kind of it reminds me of what's his name? He's a comedian. Zoltan Zaraz or whatever his name is. Oh yeah, I got scared. He's kind of funny. He's one of those dry humor kind of guys too. Zoltan something, but Zoltan. Yes, that's his name. Now imagine that rush as not only with being a reseller, and you get those sounds, those noises, those bits of info, like it's going to be a good day, or you start off a day with a $300 sale, right? And then you get all these trickling $40, $50, $60 ones when your average sale is 25, right? You're like, oh, great day. Imagine those types of feelings, but you want to share it with other people. Well, that's what sold videos. But in those what sold videos, a lot of them, I give a generic crux, a consensus, a flyby, an in-passing, fleeting, whatever type of adjectives you want to use with that type of prose on what I did, what I looked for. Why is it as I picked that one? And I'll do the same thing for source videos, but usually those ones I want to try to hurry up and get through the items and get done and get that stuff on a pile so I can. Imagine being that person who has that $300-$400 sale. And you already feel excited and you're like, you know what? I want other people to know on how I did it, what I did, what I looked for, how my brain worked, what those gears were doing when I was at a store. And the feeling when you realize like, oh shit, that's a $700 Alcoholics Anonymous book. Yeah, screenshot somewhere. Now I've sold them before, but a lot of other resellers know that. A lot of people who aren't into physical media, me, a handful of years ago, referred to what I was just talking about, like, well, I don't know, I've been tangenting, but like 5, 6, 7 minutes ago. I was blind to it. I didn't really think that there was that much in it. And then I start getting media for cheap. I'm going to a little church sale down here. I'd fill up a paper bag for $10 and I'd come back with 50, 60, 70, 100, whatever, different books and pamphlets and tracts. And then I started to get a better idea. Then I'd go to a yard sale and I'd get a whole box of books, like 60, 70 books for $10, $20. I'm like, well, a lot of this is common. Oh, but I learned that this Dan Abnett, someone made a comment about Dan Abnett. This Warhammer book, yeah, you think Warhammer, okay, it's probably going to be another common run. No, look at it, scan it. Oh, it's a $100 book. Or it's a $300 book or something. Man, this stuff is everywhere. So I felt the need not only to want to have a way on how to offset taxes, but I felt a need to want to give people that type of excitement, that type of endorphin rush, that type of psychological feeling of what it is to know that that stuff is out there, to find it. And I readily find $70 to $200 items, readily. To sell it and talk about it. I will bet that of the people who do watch, again, either fleeting and passing or dedicated viewers, don't take dedicated bad way. Fanatics, well, that's where the word fan comes from, is fanatics. Like the word lunatic comes from the word Luna, which Luna is the name of the moon. And so lunatic, full moon, getting into too much etymology. I'll guarantee that there's been something that I've said or done that you may have like, yeah, that makes sense. But I'll try it. And you try it. You start looking for, probably going to be a bunch of bad examples. you start looking for this older bind, this older visual texture, like a lot of newer binds, especially from the 80s on to newer. What I've learned are going to be like this spine bind, the visual texture of it, the actual raised, the relief of it is going to be smoother. It's going to be a whole different look. And then look at that font. I don't know what that font is. Probably kind of something like that. Right? To be able to just, on a whole bunch of bookshelves, just be able to spot that one book that looks older. It looks different. It looks a little dirtier. It has a different color than, I mean, this kind of, I'm colorblind, but this kind of greenish color, it's all yellow, but this kind of greenish color isn't really used anymore. So I can just identify that color. A lot of people will be like, oh, I look at every single title, every single author, because I don't know those types of colors. That's just one of those, like, it looks old. And I don't think I was able to really read that when on the spine. But to look at this, and it's prophecy, right? And it has a cool relief. It's textured, right? It's all relief. This one is probably listed for like $30-$40. I know I'm going somewhere with all this, right? So we can see an example of this. So if you pick up a book from late 90s, maybe early 2000s onward to newer, the gloss, the sheen that's on this dust jacket right here is going to be much shinier than this one. Much shinier. Regardless if it was sat there in the sun and got UV blasted for the past 20 years or kind of built to take that type of abuse. Not really, but if you were to leave this, it would be faded. But it would still hold this not as shiny as newer dust jackets. And this is kind of turning into an explaining things video. But that is on how I picked this one, by the sheen, the color. This color, go find a book that really emulates this exact. This is more like an exact true blue. Like this is a dark blue, right? But this is a true blue. To me, colorblind, right? I could see shades and whatever the other word is. Shades and hues a little differently. Like I can really, really narrow down a shade of something that I'm like, oh no, that's like a light olive brown. We're like, dude, olive what? Yeah, well, that's what the color of sand is to me. It's a light olive brown. And then I can see the font. Now that font is used now, but not quite so much. And then I see the title. And I see it has no barcode. So if this was made from the mid 80s onward to now, it'd have a barcode. Sometimes they'll have them right there on either part of the dust jacket, right? I don't remember what this one's up for. Maybe $80. I don't remember exactly, but most of the books I'm going to buy, most of them are going to be around $40 and more. But those are just things, and I have all these 3 investigators. If I could just grab one of these. 3 investigators books, right? So you can see that this is not a dust jacket. This is just a regular spine, and this is a kid's book, so it's going to have a whole different type of, not as bright and shiny, but more of a deep. Like you could see there's more layers of that sheen in this. So if I didn't know that this was 3 investigators, and if this was all covered up and I just saw that real dark sheen, you can kind of see a little bit right here peeling up. That'd be something that would interest me to grab the book. And I'm like, oh, Alfred Hitchcock. All right, well, if you're new to selling Alfred Hitchcock, right? I'm like, oh, Alfred Hitchcock. Maybe. All right, Mystery of a Death Trap Mind. Well, that's definitely interesting for a kid's story. And then you start looking up. You're like, oh, shit, it's a $50, $60 book. And I've got a whole box of these left. And I've stolen a whole bunch of those. So that, and here's a great example. Sheen, no sheen. This one here, the Coughing Dragon. Now, speaking of, look at some of the higher end sales of some of these 3 investigators. That could be $400, $500, $600, $700. That I didn't know, but I forget what I was looking it up for. Well, somebody sent me a counter offer on something, and I didn't add like any qualifier terms in my search, to where I just had like Hitchcock, three investigators, and something else, and then or mystery or whatever it was, and then it came up, and I just hit sold. I was like, oh wow, gotta keep your. Oh yeah, you know what? Here's a screenshot. So this one here, 1970. Going off my theory, I'm gonna say 1977. 1978. So after a certain time, they started putting sheen. All right, so that's way, way, way too explanatory. However, that is the point of why I just did that. That's why I just did that. Because it's all those little things that I picked up on from watching other YouTubers. Again, I don't use on any of the others. On the little things that I picked up on. So if I was able to just make inference from a 20-minute video, and I can infer that the one thing that they were going after is look for shiny hardcovers in Alfred Hitchcock. It took them 20 minutes to explain that. That's what I got from that video, and I watched a bunch of them. Then I started, like I just said, you know what? That Derek guy, I don't think that doesn't make sense. But I'm going to try it. And that's what I did. And I kept doing it. And I got to a point where sales were definitely good enough to where I could put myself on the market. Not that market, but I could put myself on the market, the YouTube market, and be like, hey, look, people, I've been selling for a long time. Physical media, look, it's every cliche. Putting cliche. You know what? I'll type it. So I'm going to be having fun editing this video since it's 6:30 right now. So this won't post, probably won't hit till like 10. So the crux of this video is back to leadership. No, really, back to leadership. The people who follow and listen to some of the things that I say, may not be all of it, but pick up on little things that I do, call me a leader. Matter of fact, there was a comment in either today's video or today's post about my YouTube anniversary birthday, that's like, thanks for the content. So I'm learning a lot from the master. And I responded with, quasi-master. I'm sure there's plenty of sellers out there that do 500,000 a year of just books on eBay, right? They're all over. But for what I try to pontificate is the ease of what it is. Now, granted, I have the years, decades of a long career of experience that I added to the little bits and pieces. I used to say a long time ago when I was a manager of different types of canvassing, door-to-door companies, people who go door-to-door and ask you for free estimate, things like that. One of the things I used to say in a lot of the training, that's how I ended up becoming manager at the company I was for up here in Menor, just because I did assistant managing in different stores and stuff. And they were going to give me a whole store in Pittsburgh. And then the day I signed the contract for it, shutdown, COVID shutdown, right? So I was like, I signed it on the 16th and like everything shut down on the 17th or whatever it was, somewhere around there, 4 years ago, whatever. And then they opened back up and were like, hey, you're good at what you do. Thanks. We're going to pay you a good chunk of money to go help these people up in this store and get them better. Awesome. So I did that. But one of the things I used to say is even if you accept the ingredients from different people and you put it in your own stew, and you swish it around, now you have a little hodgepodge, and if you eat it, it's still going to work out for you. It's going to taste a little different because of somebody else's ingredients, but it's keeping you going. Or another way on how to say it is, even if you only listen to me 1% of the time, I haven't said it such a long time, if you listen to 10% of what I say, and it makes you 1% better at what you're doing, then I did my job. So it's just not about reselling. It's all different types of fields and companies that I have worked in where that applies. And it's all starting something new that a lot of people, I think a good word is paradigm. People have their own opinions and things on how they're going to do things and how things are and should always be ran. And when given an opportunity for even just a small morsel, a small snippet of something that would change the operations in a better way, nah, man. As the Neil deGrasse Tyson, nah. As a matter of fact, I was just watching him today on AGI, uh, the generalized AI and stuff. But those people who want to have that paradigm shift or change their paradigm, that reminds me of a lot of stuff from 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Covey. People who want to change their paradigm see those little differences, those little changes in things. I can keep going on and on and on, but is where I want to end this at is going back to the very beginning of this video, near the beginning. That this is my 1 year. I have, as of right now, 683. I want to say that's what it was before I started this. 683 subscribers. Some calling, some, it goes up and down, up and down. There's active commenters. I get my metrics are good, like my actual retention rate, like video playthrough retention rate by average is like 41%. My understanding is that's pretty decent for the niche and stuff that I'm in. But for anyone who's clicked on any of the videos, anyone who's commented, anyone who's thumbs up, anyone who subscribed and then unsubscribed and they're like, you know what? He's a little weird. He's a little different sometimes. I don't believe half the shit he says, but I'm going to try it. I'll resubscribe. Cool. Thanks. This video is about you guys. Doesn't really seem like it. I think that's not the right way on how to say that. But hopefully you get the point. It's about all the people who stick around, who want to learn. Yeah, I do things different. Yeah, am I willing for a small change here and there? Yeah, have I kind of honed my skills over a long career? Have I honed those down? No. That's the thing about a metaphor. That's the thing about a blade, a piece of metal. It's difficult to shave and trim. As soon as you get it down to how you want it, it's not how you want it. You want it to be a little more different. So you got to take a little off the side. Now I'm talking about. So thank you for all of you who stick around, who do watch. And this seems to be a very, very long-winded way on how to say thank you, my viewers. And I wanted to do this for my 1 year, and I have something planned for when I hit 1,000 and different things like that. I'm not like spending 8 hours a day writing all this stuff down. I'm like, all right, when I hit 1,000, I'm going to do that. And then I fall asleep with my quill down here and I fall asleep. No, I'm not. It's just when I hit 1,000, I'm going to change a few things up as well. For anybody who likes learning about the Ninja School, if you will, I mean, stick with this Neil deGrasse Tyson type metaphor here. The quantum side of things. What are all those little 1% things? So I'll bet you if you add 10 1% things that make a difference, you'll be 20% better. Someone's like, man, Derek, he's wrong. Again, 10 times 1 is not 20. But if you add them all up, those little things are going to make a big difference. And that's what I purport. That's what I give on these books-wise. This is what I look for on these. And that's going to differ all the time. CDs, this is what I look for that. DVD, and so on and so forth. Because I want you to learn a lot of the things that I have learned. And get this, for free. Anyone can refer to all the 430 videos I have and learn all kinds of different stuff. I'm not even monetized, so it's out there. to be had. And there's a lot of other resellers on social media that you can learn from as well. I'm just one to where I appreciate what I do for the videos wise, I think more than of what a lot of other people who make reselling videos, what their undertones are. I want to say ulterior motives, but more undertones. But like, oh, I'm going to make this video so I can make $1,000 on the video. It's not me, yo. Not me. I want to give you what I can for free because it's information that's out there that not only helps the microeconomy, but it helps you. And again, in a year from now, maybe a lot of the sentiment will be skewed, altered, amended, but the point still stands. I have a peculiar set of skills I've acquired for a long career. I'm not going to do that one again. Get the point. So, thank you. Got me thinking going up. Comment down below. Subscribe, share. Those are all free. It helped me. I heard someone just say, so you can help other people. I heard that. Thank you. Appreciate it.